to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats. Your hosts Vertek and Chibi are back from the latest adventure.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Golden Feather. Today is the 9th of September, 2022, and this is episode 138. We've got places to be, and we've brought with us an old friend of ours, Arky. How you doing there, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
Hey, and as always, we also have on this side of me, the lovely and talented Chibi. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. I'm in the middle now. I used to be on the outside, and now I'm in the middle. So.
You're stuck in the middle with us.
Oh no! Double voices. Echo. This is a sound effect. I'm using a sound effect. We are super mighty because we have an echo, right? So like the pantheons, you know. Perfect.
What is going on here?
Echo powers.
All right. Well, if you could go ahead and lead us in there, I will go ahead and see if I can fix that echo.
Sure. First off, as you can know, with my holy echo power. Oh, it's fixed? Okay, cool. As you can tell, we have a whole new overlay, and that is thanks to Supreme Phoenix. And we are still working out some of the kinks. There's some stuff that we don't have polished completely the way we'd like it to be. And there's some things that we're working on adjusting to be a little bit better. So please bear with us, but we wanted to share with you our new overlay, again, by Supreme Phoenix. So thank you, Phoenix. Appreciate it. But most importantly, we have this guy here with us, Arky. What are you up to, Arky?
What am I up to? A bit of this, bit of that, to be honest.
Fair.
Have been since it's been 28 weeks. Isn't there a movie called 28 Weeks?
I feel like
a horror movie, right?
Like that. Yeah. 28 days later.
28 weeks since I've been here, and since then I think I've been like immersed myself into the whole Ashes universe a lot more compared to what I was last time. Because I remember last time I was here on the podcast, I was very nervous that this was going to be like a big exam of, oh, you don't know anything. But I have, I think I've got things covered, to be honest. So I'm very much less nervous this time than compared to last time. So it's good.
That's good. You know nothing, Arky Snow. Oh. I might have to mute myself. Our dog has found the squeaky toy.
As she does. All right, our Spotify back online here.
Okay, gotcha. We had some general topics to cover today. We're going to talk about some maps and some caravans and some random stuff. Hello, Ashtonir, welcome in. But first, I just want to quickly say, Zalexia, thank you, and Grumpy Old Man, I know you only did it for the meat and the chicken, but thank you as well for the resub, and PGN for the raid. I appreciate it. Welcome in, guys. But yeah, so let's see. My biggest question is, with this last live stream, Arky, what has been your favorite piece of information that has been dropped?
Between the last stream or the last development stream?
The last development stream.
Okay. The vast size of the map, like, holy moly. When I heard Steven say that there's 50 minutes from one top to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, that is a good thing, because I talked to my wife about this earlier today. I want maps to be massive, and I want them to have to give me the to give me the opportunity to get lost or get distracted on our way to something.
Mhm.
But it's also very double standardish, because I'm also a player that when I have played a game for a certain time, I try to optimize and do things as quickly as possible. So it's a little bit double standardish for me, I guess. But yeah, I want them to be as not to quote a certain politician, but maps may be huge. And if I can get lost, or I've not in that sense, but if I can get lost on my way to something and get distracted because there's something a lot cooler over here than the route I was taking, then yes, please.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much, Breachery, about the shortened by fast travel, because that's not really likely. Steven doesn't seem to be a fan of fast travel, except for super unlocked things like airships being unlocked, or the scientific nodes. But those are things that you have to build up. So it's one of those things you got to work for your fast travel and not just be handed that fast travel, you know? But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
by the way, welcome in. First time chatting. Explorers just got hyped from last update. All that extra world. Absolutely. So actually, if you don't mind, I want to talk about first real quick what kind of content you make. And then that brings up a great first topic that I want to get into with the maps. So what kind of content do you make currently, and do you hope to make for Ashes?
As I mentioned last time, I'm a competitive player, so I would love to be able to. Currently, I play a lot of Guild Wars 2 competitively, so that's PvP and something called Wild World, which is server versus server versus server. So it's kind of like red, blue versus green or something, right? So 3 servers clashing into a giant battlefield, 50 versus 50 versus 50, right? So the cool thing that kind of attracted me to Ashes was the opportunity to play 250 versus 250. I think that was Steven's goal, right?
Yeah.
That is something I would very much like to try and see if that can work out. And, how massive of a fight that could be. I mean, there's going to be a lot of visual clutter for sure, but who gives, as long as it's fun.
Right.
Well, I'll agree.
And I hope to translate a little bit of that into Ashes. Hopefully there's going to be, I mean, I've heard rumors here and there that there's not really going to be much PvP other than the trying to siege things, but let's hope. It's going to be opt-in PvP at some point.
Fingers crossed.
I'd like to see some good PvP. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted there for a minute, but I got some stuff patched up there. Only things you can find out once you go live. Yay! Alright. So I do believe Spotify is back up. You should be able to hear some background music now. Yay! Got the video going, and should be no more echo. Joy.
Interesting. The person that made the overlay, I think, is tagged in there with the artist.
Oh no! That's
not the overlay. Sorry, the Twitch chat. No.
Oh, the Matthew David Cox. No, that's Malord's other account.
Oh, okay. So it's like pulling both. Okay. Yep. I thought that was just Malord. My bad.
Yeah, I was confused there for a moment. No, I went to Malord's channel because that's the one he sent me, and I bookmarked that song and stuffed it in our Spotify playlist, and it just automatically tagged over to his other account too.
Okay. So. Good to know. Malord, in case you didn't want that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Blame Spotify.
I didn't do it. It wasn't on purpose. I promise.
But yeah, okay, so how about this? I'm gonna prep up the first topic for maps, and that would be one of the larger content creators made a video on mini maps. And that large content creator's name is Rasputin. And here's the video for you. But basically, he was talking about, should Ashes of Creation have mini maps or not? And I will give you a synopsis, but feel free to watch the video if you want more information. But there's some games that have like the little circle down here, right, with your little mini map, and it's got all the information that you need. But then I don't know, Arky, if you've played games like, have you played Elder Scrolls Online? Or not Elder Scrolls, sorry. What's that new one that everybody's always talking about with like Elden
New
Ring?
World?
There we go.
Oh, Elden Ring.
No.
Yeah.
Ew. Get out of here with that. There's the up here. There's like the compass.
It's like a compass, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he was talking about how Elden Ring is really good at having a open world feel where you still get to your objective, but you aimlessly get to your objective. Whereas there's other games like The Witcher, where it's from like point to point, and you go from like this point to that point to do it, and you have to find this NPC, and it's a very specific thing. And so his suggestion was that there's some manner that Ashes allows you to kind of effortlessly get like your quest done, while being able to feel like you're exploring the world and not relying constantly on looking at your mini map down in the corner. And that was just more of the general thing. He felt like he found himself looking at the mini map and relying on it too much rather than relying on the world to give him the information that he needed. So that's a synopsis. That being stated, do you have a preference on that? Do you have a preference of like having the mini map there or having the compass at the top with the world kind of cueing you into things? What are your thoughts?
I think my thoughts wow, that's a good segue. I like having some sort of mini map, mainly just to know where I am, basically, just to not feel lost. But I saw the video as well. I get the point, and I actually agree that you start to not pay attention of where the hell you are. You get, on the other hand, as I said before, you get to a point where you just want to go from A to B because you've played this game like the millionth time, and this is your 8th old character, and you just want to do this quest so you can level up so fast as possible, right? So
yeah, sorry, I had a cough.
So for me, and I think this video also mentions it, it would be cool if we could have some sort of like customization of how much info we want in the minimaps.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Vertek?
Yeah, I would have to agree. That it'd be nice if we had some form of input. I was actually thinking as you were going through that description there, how neat would it be if Rangers especially had the ability to unlock a skill that got them more accuracy on something like a compass that's sitting over top. Like you had vague directions.
Their survival kit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the normal person would see a compass up there, but it might be within like 20%, 30% of accuracy, depending on what time of day it is. If it's in the middle of the night, then it's just, the compass is going to be just spinning around because they have no idea. They can't gauge by the sun. So the ranger being able to unlock a more accurate compass would be fun for explorer types, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that too. I bet somebody would probably go with a ranger just for like the crafting capabilities as well. But for me, I was actually it brought me into like D&D for a second when you were talking about that, where like usually like the ranger types have like the additional survival checks, like they're a bit more proficient in it. So that kind of being produced in the game in that manner would be very interesting, I think, especially with the survival kit that they have. Although I did find a pretty funny GIF that, like, you know how we saw the last one last week with the ranger being in all like camouflage?
Yeah.
Someone put another GIF up with like the rogue being like in mud on the tree, basically, and you couldn't tell they were there until they were like grabbing, like it's a scene from a movie or something, but like he was just grabbing the soldier, but he was like blended in with the tree because he had like all this mud to blend in. It was just,
I like it.
It was just funny. It reminded me of that kind of stuff, like where everybody's gonna have their own class kits, and like I believe if they stick with it, healers are gonna be able to help with the corruption fog, that poisonous fog going into the dungeons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought it'd be cool because obviously Intrepid has made this a point in multiple of their videos, right? Or their live streams with wanting their own UI to be editable. So I feel like this is valuable information for them. Hi, Brady. I feel like this is valuable information for them because this is something that is, one, there's going to be people that want the minimap right in the corner. And then there's going to be people that want the compass. And so being able to adjust that and fine point that, I think is really important because it allows you to customize your HUD for what you want out of the game. If you want the minimap, you can put the minimap there. If you'd rather have a compass, you could have the compass there. Another thing that he had mentioned was that if that wasn't really your thing and you wanted to be able to grab your map still, having your character physically like grabbing a map and looking at it in game felt more immersive than a map HUD that filled up your screen. What are your thoughts on that?
You mean like you'd see it zoom in and like their hands on the edge of it?
Like for one of them, they literally had like a clipboard that he was showing, and on that clipboard was a map, and it would show like where they were trying to go on that. But they could still move and do stuff, but their character is like holding a physical item.
Huh. Yeah, it could be neat. I'd see that being a cute little option. I would not be opposed.
But also, at least from the clips I saw, it felt like it. And I had to agree. It felt like the gameplay was kind of stopped, right? You had to stop to look at the map, but of course you have to do that in real life as well,
right?
But
you're driving the GPS, right?
Yeah, okay. But yeah, you kind of had to like you had to, what's the word? You were interrupted in what you were doing. So and there was like animations and the game. So the map was so big it had to load and it had to load every time. It wasn't cached and stuff like that. So. That could be an annoyance, I guess, at some point. So
that's the one thing that the guy did say in the video. Is like it annoyed him a little bit that it took it a second to load up, and that he was kind of like stuck waiting. It was taking time out of gameplay to have. I think it was Red Dead Redemption. He was mainly pointing that out at. Vian, no problem with what you were saying. Sorry about that. But yes, that's a good idea. Is if that's feedback, you should definitely go put that in their forums and stuff. By the way, I think I have their forums here as a command. If not, it's I think r/. Yeah. So either of those places, they tend to watch those. I wasn't ignoring you. That's just a lot to read. But I think it's what ashesofcreation.com/forums, right?
Yeah, sounds about right. I could go ahead and get that pulled up just to be sure.
Okay. That should work. If not, I apologize. But I liked what you said about the small minimalistic compass all the time on screen won't be a problem. And I think that'd be just nice, just to kind of get your basis on where you're going, you know? But that actually, thank you, Captain Redbeard. That actually brings me to my next point. I saw somebody on the forums and actually on Reddit. I found the same post. So I linked them both together in case you wanted to look through what people were saying. But thank you for a tag for that.
Ooh.
What?
Sorry, I just saw a horrendous comment that there's a community Discord chat on September 14th about tanks. And thank you, Captain Redbeard.
I don't know why I'm doing this because you're up there for me, but you're over that way now for me. Vertec is huge into tanks. What about you, Arky? Are you a big tank person?
I'm more of a, how do you say this in other games? A dot person, damage over time person.
That makes sense. I'm more of a healer.
The warlock
person,
of the group.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't know if you have this set up currently, but I'm gonna try it. Yeah, small minimalistic compass on the screen at all times won't be a problem, and I think it will be a nice thing to have and to adjust. But the next thing somebody was saying on the forums and on Reddit was they were worried with the map size increasing to being 3 times the size, that as nodes progressed, one, is there going to be any reason for re-exploring those nodes? Because you've already explored them. You went there, you spent about 30 minutes, you considered that area explored, and you moved on. That's at least how a lot of people feel in a typical RPG, I would feel, or like a static MMO that doesn't have changing cities. So one, does that make you feel like you're not worth going back to checking that out again? And two, does it make you feel lost because things are constantly changing? And those are the main things that they were bringing up.
Ooh, man. I'd have to say, for one, I don't think it would make me feel lost at all, but I would definitely scratch my head every once in a while. Like, I wouldn't necessarily just out and go, oh my gosh, I have no idea where I am, so much as like, no, I guess you could say that. Yeah, I'd get minorly lost, I'm sure. Because if you're going to explore old stuff and you remember how it used to be and you're trying to show somebody something and you go by and there's a whole extra couple of towns along the way.
Over here is, well, that's new.
Yeah, you're going to lose all of your landmarks. There's going to be some that get rebuilt where you thought something else was, and there's going to be some that get torn down and just disappear completely. So yeah, I guess in a way, I could say you'd get at least minorly lost if you didn't have some form of vague idea about how the land masses were formed and following the land mass itself.
That's right.
Yeah, there's always going to be a reason to explore. Again, like if there's anybody who even gets a node up to like a stage 2, something changes about it.
Yeah.
Like something's going to be different. So
yeah. Hello, Reluctant Raven. Welcome in. What about you?
Hello, Raven.
Well, from something, another angle of it, because one of the big things in Guild Wars 2 is replayability on a lot of content. They are controlling it by adding new achievements that people can get, and then can get new items and such like that. But if what I would love in Ashes and what I think I can grasp from what the event system stream was all about is that things change all the time. And if, for example, you are seeking certain items or certain crops or certain animals for animal husbandry, or etc., you have to go and explore things again or go to certain places again to get them. So I don't think in the big picture it's going to be like a huge problem, but
yeah, that's fair. One of their worries were if they were thinking that exploration will be somewhat tainted since everything around you is constantly changing. But I feel like it's because of that the opposite is true. Because things are constantly changing, I am curious to see how they change, why they change, what changed exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But another thing that they're saying is some might say that being part of an unfamiliar environment all the time somehow may get overwhelming by feeling lost all the time. Or it can make you lose interest in keeping exploring new places because you're getting disoriented. But I feel like there's two things to that side. Like, yes, initially the server might boom really quickly and things might change. But as the nodes progress, the amount of time that it takes to level a node, will increase. So while a couple nodes might pop off almost immediately, which I don't think will change too much. I think it'll just be like little encampments that show up around like a central area as people pour into the world. And then that becomes slightly bigger encampments, right? for those of us that saw Alpha 1 footage or played during Alpha 1, I don't feel like the changes to the world, as even Stephen was like manually updating them, I don't think I lost where I was going for the most part. I knew about where I needed to go, even with things changing around me.
That, and let's be honest, I guess if you're trying to be an explorer and you're upset because things change, you might be exploring for the wrong reason, just to check it off a list and move on. Is my view on it. Because if you're just trying to check it off a list and say I've finished exploring that and I'm done with it, and now I can tell everybody about everything, then you're not gonna like this type of game. I think that's just my thoughts, because everything is gonna be changing all the time, except for like forgotten corners, which I'm pretty sure Intrepid's gonna pay attention to and give you a reason to go over there.
Yeah. Because,
you know, they've spent all this time on this map and the node system. They want every node to be used, I'm sure, at some point in time.
Yeah.
And explorers like myself, I want to see what's there. And if I get there and I explore it and I run away, and next time somebody tells me something different is there, I'm probably going to want to go there first before I explore anything new.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. Like, I want to see how that changed. I want to see what new things popped up there. So... That's my view on it. Is for me, I think that would fuel the type of explorer I am.
Yeah, and that makes sense. How about you, Archie, though?
Yep, yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only compare it to Guild Wars 2 because that's what I've been playing for the last 10 years.
They
I think the last time you were on
17 times through the story. Every single corner of that map gets used for at least 20 different quests, it seems.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think the last time you were on, we were talking about Vertec getting into Guild Wars 2 with you. Is that correct? I think that was you.
I think we may have. It may have been mentioned.
Yeah, because like Vertec was just starting to get super into it, and I was like, look, it's another Guild Wars 2 person.
But they have made some new content revolving around the new Steam release that was like a couple of weeks ago. Everything becoming more, I wouldn't say beginner friendly, but new player friendly, I guess. Right? All the old areas have been touched up, and some world bosses have been retuned and stuff like that. So I would assume that Interpret going to do exactly the same thing, or even better, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, here's open. And like Overthrow said, I'd much rather have things constantly changing than be able to search an online database for the exact mob I'm looking for.
Also, Reluctant Rivals, I'm going to organize a Tolnar community, and we're going to work for an underground metro.
Do it.
I'm actually interested in seeing what the underground metros are looking like. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like there's not really much need to have everything or a lot of things be permanent fixtures. I feel like having... okay, how about this? A great example. They've got two great examples. The volcano. You know where you are in the world in association to where the volcano is.
Yeah.
And that new thing that they just showed us, the corruption beam, the red light that pops straight up in the desert, I think, or near the desert.
Oh, yeah, that's gotta be a heck of a landmark.
That'll be another giant landmark. And that's only bringing back to the mini-map thing, where he was saying, like, Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring are pretty good at that because they have these giant things that are landmarks. But, like, sure, in Breath of the Wild, when you get too far out, you lose sight of, like, Ganon's castle, but they have the beams that point back so that you get a point of reference again. And I think that's really important for open world exploration. And I don't think anybody's really talked about it too much. Yes, the corrupted mentors. Yes, Minotaurs. Mentors. We have corrupted mentors now.
Corrupted mentors. I mean, they were basically the three that walked away from the Pantheon of 10, right? In a way, you could call them corrupted.
And then the other things I have here are just the extremely large, high-resolution map, and there's another one with where the ideas of the 82 nodes are potentially at. We are aware that people have data mined this stuff, I'm not even touching that. But I'm taking the ones with the dots on it as like, this is where it could be, not where it is. But one thing I do want to say, if a theory craft is correct, one of those nodes I saw was on the border of 2 different land types, maybe even 3. Wouldn't that be really cool? I wonder what that would look like, because we've seen like the desert biome, we've seen the jungle biome, but what would a node biome look like on the verge of 2 different biomes? What would that be? It sounds
confused.
Confused.
Well, I was actually thinking, looking at the comments, that they were talking about the underground metros with Overthrow and Sir Unsington and Birdie and all them. Mm-hmm. How neat would it be if there were underground nodes, underground metros in some of the mountains, and the Dunir could actually have a metro in the mountain? And how much more interesting would it be if elves invaded one of those and created an elven city in the mountain?
All right, elves, if you're doing that, let me know. I will drop my guild, whatever they're doing, and I'll come help. Okay? I don't even care if you're Empyrean. I will come help.
Yeah. Just saying, for one, that would upset a lot of dwarves, and for 2, that would kind of invent the drow.
Just have to
Ashes.
Yeah, exactly. We should go see my cousin in the mines of Moria.
Just have to say, there are certain people who I refuse to go raid because they're friends. They're friendly dwarves. I'm not doing it. Sorry. Them's fighting words. Yeah. Love Joe. Bring him down. Sorry.
Another thing about the map/mini map thing, before I forget, because I've been thinking, I'm forgetting like 3 times already during this podcast. So before I forget, something I would love to see is some sort of, like we already talked about a little bit of helpers here and there about maybe quests where to go and stuff like that. But
yeah,
something I found very annoying the maybe year I played World of Warcraft was the vague descriptions about, oh, it's over there kind of thing, right? It's oh, it's maybe north if you go. Yeah, but the whole map is freaking north. I mean,
yeah.
So there's a lot of things north. So how far north, right? Or like like small hinters of where to go ish, right? So
on that topic, then, have you played Final Fantasy 14?
Nope.
Okay. They have a thing where you have to go search out these like green air currents, if you will, to be able to earn flying for that part of the map. And they say like it's 300 yalms west or northwest. Is that something more you would prefer?
Well, yeah. I mean, more helpful hints, I guess, instead of... Or if you could go back to the NPC and say, hey, I don't know where this thing is, please.
Please help.
For the love of God, I will pay you more money if you could just tell me where this thing is.
That's
well, it's almost like one of those like water dowsing rods or something like that, where you hit the button and I forget what it does exactly, but then it tells you like you need to go this far in that direction. So you walk about that far in that direction and you use it again. And it tells you now you have to go this far in that direction. And you have to keep tracing it down until you get to the spot that you need to find.
Yeah, sorry. Sir Unsington says, I'll take vague directions over horrible directions any day, though. Go to the tree, the big one down round about the 4th turn of the road, and follow that till you hit the river. Yeah, it's there next to the river. I'd be like, wait, what constitutes as a turn and what's not technically a turn? I would want more specific.
I turned 360 degrees. Now what?
360 no scope.
Left turn.
Okay. So another thing to kind of talk about, kind of tying this in with caravans a little bit. Old school quest text, right? So we've all done, I think every MMO has had this at least one point, the escorting quests, where the NPC thing that you have to escort is way slower than you actually are and stuff like that. So the next one is talking about escorting caravans, and they're kind of worried that escorting caravans is going to be much like exporting an NPC, and that it's going to be slow. And I can't recall of the videos that they've done on Alpha 1 or our experience within Alpha 1. Although, to be fair, the only experience I've ever had with the caravan is when it was really bugged and everybody's names was like getting so large that it was filling up the screen. I don't know if you remember that. But I think I remembered seeing that on their live stream too. It was just like growing.
Caravans dancing in the road.
Yeah.
Literally inside the road.
Oh gosh. But I don't remember it being slow. But I guess it was parked. I don't know.
If I recall correctly, it was somebody had to drive it for a while there.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily slow. It got parked because they got jumped and they had to get off the mount
to
and
defend it.
disconnect the thing to defend it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's a different type of caravan.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. Is that if you're defending a caravan, right? Because that's their worry, is they're riding along to defend the caravan. Do you think that the caravan would go at normal mount speed because it's being driven by a couple of mounts, or do you think it'd be slower than normal mounted speed? Sorry
I think
for
it's
the
gonna
bad
be
wording.
slower myself.
Yeah, I would
have to be.
expect that.
Just because you're looking at it, and yeah, it's going to just go slower than mount speed because you're on a horse with a couple bags, and that's easy to run around with, but that's a big old heavy caravan with a lot of stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about it. If you could take a Ferrari down the street and take curves like crazy, you try and do that with a U-Haul, you may as well just not have moved anything because you're going to lose it all.
Yeah.
It's going over a cliff somewhere.
Sorry. Sir Ensington's like, it'll be far faster than normal mounts with my beasties on the lead. Which that could be a thing, right? You could probably animal husbandry caravan mounts, maybe. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I
so you
forget
have
if it
to
was
again. It's into the explorer thing again. You have to go over here to get this pet or this animal that actually have like insane movement speed paired with this very strong ox over here, and then you have like a super ox or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of the crafting folks are theory crafting right now, is looking at, okay, so they could have, let's look at the classes here. You could have cosmetic pets, you could have battle pets, you could have mounts, and you could have beasts of burden. And what could you do with all those? Which one's going to be more profitable and why? Beasts of burden are going to be the high volume, super cheap, blah blah blah. But really though, are they? Because who would not pay good money for a fast and strong mount that can pull their caravan, 10% faster to get it through the woods before they get jumped?
Yeah.
That'd be some good money in that.
I'm trying not to giggle. Oh, sorry, Vien. We typically ask for permission first before grabbing that, but I have what you posted. It is safe. I apologize. But apologize for that. Thank you. I'm glad I got it. I'll post it back out when we get to it. Thank you. It's on the topic of raid boss fight complexity and design, which I think is really interesting. By the way, welcome in. Gee, that. Thank God I wasn't drinking, right? Because Overthrow says, "Mush, my snore says, mush."
That's the quote of the day, right there. Keeping that one forever. Mush, my snorses. They are mush. Have you not seen inside their shell?
Oh no, I don't want to think about that. Real quick, Tech Deck, thank you. Appreciate that. I swear I'm not pushing my Frognar change.org petition in Ash's Discord. Why do I not believe you, Reluctant Raven? So actually, fun thing, I found somebody, if you guys are interested in this, I'll share this out. Technically, this is a community creation, but if you like the If you like the map, somebody made the Ashes Creations new map as a wallpaper on Wallpaper Engine. So there's the link to their Reddit. And I ended up responding, and Intrepid ended up responding to us saying we should have more to share from the Ranger archetype this month. Hope you're able to join us for September 2022 development livestream. So definitely have planned the Ranger archetype, which a lot of us have kind of gathered from what Steven's been talking about, but super excited about that. Just as a side note, I realized I get distracted by like the little alerts that they have when there's like a number next to the bell icon. I'm like, what is that? I have to go look at it.
What is it? What is it? Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. They were just talking about trying to make the escorting more interesting. Like, are you able to walk around it? Like, is there any way to just, I don't know. They're just worried about it being boring. And so they're trying to think of making it more fun because they're worried about sorry, I'm speed reading really quickly just to get back to my point where I found it. That type of play style being tedious because of how slow it could be. But even with dynamic PvP and maybe PvE elements during the escort, you always end up still like feeling like you're doing the escorting quest. But I don't know. I feel like it'll be interesting because they were thinking to make it not be tedious, let the players be able to mount the caravan, which I think is kind of planned. But if you could ride along with the caravan or even maybe go into some sort of auto path mode as like a person following, that allows them to do something else instead of slowly waiting for it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that's going to be interesting about it, to be honest, is what they can do with it. Because escort quests, like, they can be either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
Because some escort quests, they actually add a bit to the story with the things that happen during the quest, right? And it makes it actually interesting. And it's not just like, oh no, there's more bandits. Protect me.
Is that the case in like Guild Wars 2?
They do.
No, well, they kind of feed into the whole dynamic event system, which is nothing compared to what Ashes is about to make. So
that's fair.
I made like a whole hype video about being very, very happy about how everything was going to be like intertwined into each other, weather systems, etc. So an escort quest is more like an escort event, and they happen like dynamically all the time.
That makes sense.
So it's actually like a repeatable event, and I would assume that if it's something about, for example, if you have harvested and you have to move your crops from one node to another or something,
that makes
it would
sense.
be like a dynamic event, and depending on stuff that just happened, or maybe your node was conquered or something, I don't know, or maybe the weather is bad nearby, and then you have to be extra careful, or bandits, or there's so many things that could feed into this.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually save the one that I was just thinking of for last, because I feel like that'll kind of move along into something that sorry, let me grab their name again. VN1 was suggesting as a topic. So the next part on caravans is talking about bandit status, potentially not being corrupted from it because it's technically consensual PvP, if you will, kind of like doing castle sieges would be. So there's been a lot, they said there's been a lot of talk recently about the risk on attacking a caravan in light of the fact that, as things stand, it seems that those driving caravans take all of the risk, since who wouldn't fight back, thus allowing the attackers to remain combatants and not corrupted. This may have already been discussed by others, but it seems that, to me, a reasonable solution would be to simply give attackers of caravans a bandit ranking or status within the given node, where they are preying on the caravans in addition to their combatant status. This could allow for bounty hunters to kill the person or the people with ever greater rewards as the highwayman's bandit rank increases. However, bandits would not be punished so severely by death penalties as corrupted players, if simply for the fact that bandits are still engaging in mutual combat with caravan guards and not just hunting down and killing green non-combatant folks. Bandits get the rope. What are your thoughts about this, like, sub-flagging system? I don't know what to call it, but as like a bandit rather than a corrupted combatant kind of thing. I don't really feel like that would apply because I feel like part of me, it would make sense if you're going to be guiding the caravan or defending it, you would have to flag up PvP, which would take you from green to, I think, purple to be flagged. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it kind of depends on a lot of stuff, to be honest. Like, I could see some people that I know being very, very sneaky with it and being very, like, hush-hush with talking to some people about, they're going to be moving some stuff and, in, like, a couple days they just have to finish this and that and the other, and then they're going to be taking the caravan and yada yada, and then just they put in, like, the most minimal possible of everything to make it look sparkly on the caravan, because Steven said that the caravan, the outside of it's going to be holding things that give clues and hints on what's in there. But there'd be some people to figure out what's the minimal loss they can possibly come up with to make it look the most impressive inside that caravan, and that's what they would do. And their goal would be to get people corrupted so that their bounty hunter friends could come and slay them right after. They would not fight back at all. But it's a totally different system with the caravans, so they wouldn't be able to do that. If that were a thing, though, I could see that would be a plot. That would be a plot. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting if they did come up with something additional, because I hadn't even thought about it until that post about how the caravan is taking basically all the risk there. Like, the only potential risk I could see is, I guess the attackers could end up dying, but there's a whole lot more to gain than they would probably bring along purposely to lose. Right.
Sorry, I just linked the caravan PvP because somebody in the comments did mention that it's different than open world PvP or the open ocean PvP is. The first line says caravans create an open PvP zone that flags the players for combatant purple. So,
yeah, but now I'm just asking because I don't know. But don't we have, like, I would call it factions? So if you're a specific race, you're part of a faction that it's kind of. So wouldn't you only have, in lack of a better term, but bandit status to or against the other faction? So you don't have, like, an omnipresent bandit status. That's what I'm thinking of.
I think that they're trying to figure that out, because they were trying to see if somebody, I guess from their perspective, like, let's say we had a band of PvPers that love the caravan PvP stuff, and they specifically were kind of hanging out by some major highways to attack caravans, and that was their main objective, is like, anytime there's a caravan, we're going to go attack it. And so they're kind of essentially not really zerging, if you will, the caravans, but like caravan hunting, if you will. So they were just trying to, I guess, figure out a way to have not necessarily corruption, but still be like somebody that a bounty hunter could come flag down for, like, constantly going after all of the caravans, I guess.
For some reason, I just imagine somebody sitting up on top of a hill, setting up like a harpoon gun or something to spike a caravan to the ground.
I like that idea.
But would you also be able to, like, if you're part of a node, would you also be able to attack your own caravan for self purposes, perhaps? I don't know.
That's a good question. I feel like you have to choose a side.
I think it's open to anybody. Yeah.
Since you're engaging in PvP, then I would assume you would also be able to attack your own stuff.
Yeah, because they said death penalties mostly do not apply to objective-based events such as caravans, guild wars, and node sieges. Because then, like, right, what are you losing at that point? Because you're not... Why would you want to attack your own stuff? You know?
Oh, maybe not your own stuff, but somebody else from town.
Maybe I can pay from someone else to actually do it. I don't know. Something. Yeah. I'm just thinking loud.
No, you're all good.
I mean, there's also nothing saying that somebody, riding a caravan through an area is actually even living in that area.
Yeah.
Because if you can take a caravan from one town to another to try and sell your goods, why couldn't you also take it from that one to a different place as well? Or for that matter, if you're traveling into a city, if you see a caravan coming past you to go to your town, you could totally jump in and just steal all their stuff if you can beat them.
Yeah. Sorry, Sir Onsington, in response to attacking your own caravan, was like, I'm Jim Carrey in the bathroom and liar, liar, I'm kicking my own ass.
Kicking my own ass. One of my favorite movies.
But apparently there's going to be like a quest system that will track a player's successful or failed defenses and attacks. And that will provide rewards that scale up over time based on the player's history. So that's kind of interesting.
You gain in Guild Wars 2, you gain a title if you do it enough times in World vs. World, where you attack a pack Dolyak, to be honest, that travels with supply from a camp to a tower or vice versa. And that title is called Yak Slapper, so maybe you could get something.
I like it, Yak Slapper. Well, they have the trade agreement caravans, which will spawn periodically, and those will be some regular PvP zones, but the player caravans are a whole nother game. Yeah, that's fair. So this kind of reminded me a little bit because somebody else was like worried about with the crafting classes and stuff, like why would they want a caravan? Why would you take part in a caravan kind of thing? Why not just bring your stuff to a different node yourself, or just bring it back to your own node? Like, why would you take part in that? And oh no, horrendous. But like some people were responding saying, well, it could be multiple crafters that want to take part in this, or some of the processors might want the crafting. So like it might be one of those things where in order for a processor to get the pure mats and then process them, they'd want to sell that processed stuff somewhere else for more money potentially. Kind of really driving that stuff. I didn't really feel like, I mean, feel free to jump in with your thoughts on that, but I didn't really feel like that was too interesting of a topic in general from like the way that they were going about it. But if you have any thoughts on that, I'd like to hear.
Honestly, I think that one's pretty straightforward. Like, why would you want to take part in the caravan system? Well, if your stuff isn't selling here, you got to sell it somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. And if you can get more money out of it in another town, just ship it.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving large volumes at a time. I guess that's the idea, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But the thing that kind of brought me back to VN's topic is someone else, and this is kind of under the random stuff. So I'm pulling out of the caravan topic and going into random topics. Somebody was talking about how interesting it would be as a crafter to spawn a world event from crafting, be it gathering resources or maybe getting, like, obviously there's the killing of the mobs, the PvE stuff, but like if you're grabbing the last flower from the druid's like grove, for example, and like that angers the druid, and so then a world event happens. Hammering too loudly, absolutely. You've annoyed the local whatever wildlife because you've been hammering at your forge all day and all night since you got here, you noisy humanoids. Why?
The neighborhood nanny steps out of her house and starts stomping towards you with a big old frying pan.
But what are your thoughts on that? I thought that was kind of an interesting idea. Outside of like PvE things spawning a world boss, crafting stuff spawning a world boss as well.
Yeah, that would give a whole new angle to the whole spawning an event. Because up until now you have, I think I've tried the only thing there is, and that is like killing enough mobs from a certain thing to anger the boss, and then it comes out, and then you can kill the boss, right? So
Yeah.
Well, how about
that would certainly give a better angle to it, or a more dynamic angle.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've played enough of WoW to be familiar with it, Arky, but there's some legendary items that you can get, and one of them was a staff, and I forget whose staff it was, but you got it out of, was it Cataclysm, I think? The fire dungeon? I think that's where you had to get it. But either way, you had to go through and power it up with a whole bunch of different stuff and do a whole lot of different things, and it really required kind of a community to help you build it, because you had to get a bunch of stuff, and that's the only one that I've taken part in, probably similar for others. But at the end of it, there's a giant illusory dragon that just flies around over a Stormwind, and they had a whole bunch of other little dragons flying around them, and there's big announcements and all sorts of stuff that you actually completed the item. And the reason I think of that is because I think that could be something along the lines of a quest that could occur if, say, someone finds a legendary item, but it's in a state of disrepair and it needs to be fixed up. And with that, it's like, okay, so-and-so has this thing, and, you know, we need this for our town, we need this for our region, so, you know, an NPC that's important in the area puts up money for the mayor to reward the people who bring in, you know, enough of this material or that material or what have you. And suddenly it becomes a community gathering event to go through and gather all this stuff and hunt these things down and, you know, craft all these other mats to create some whatever is of recipes that they found, you know?
Sorry, that just reminded me
really
of
cool.
Steven essentially doing that with, I need your wood and your stone, and people just went
making
out to grab wood and stone.
Everybody, bring me your stone!
Killing the world boss for the last step of getting our tank his Thunder Fury legendary sword is probably one of my favorite WoW events. Honestly, that's pretty cool. Like having a world boss kind of brought into it. Hi, grumpy guy. You know, having it included in like bringing more purpose to defeating a world boss. Like, okay, there's a world boss over there, but why would I fight him? Like, what is my drive? And part of our drive with Ashes is, you know, better stuff for gear, but things like you need this particular item from this particular world boss to be able to do this particular quest or do that particular thing. It's just there, it adds to it, I think. Wasn't there like a baby quote unquote world boss in WoW? It was in like the Alliance area. It was like this hog person that was like silver or something. I can't remember. I killed him.
Oh my gosh, Hogger.
Hogger
raids.
Thank you. It's been so long, honestly. I barely remember that. Not a world boss though. You know what? People acted like he was a world boss.
You know,
okay.
It felt like a world boss when you get a whole bunch of people to just create level 1s and run out there and try to take him down. But he's like a level 5 or something, and pretty boss for level 5.
I thought he was like level 13, if I can't remember. But yeah, no, I mean, I felt like when I was younger and I was trying to play World of Warcraft, that was like, if you don't have DPS meters, that was your way of telling if you could do solid DPS. Can you take him down without dying? Like, there you go.
Yeah, how quickly do you get dead?
Yeah, how quickly do you die from this? You died in like 3 minutes. I guess you're on the team. died slower than the last guy. He died like instantly.
Loudy.
But that kind of brings me to like Vienne's post from roughly 6 hours ago. His thoughts on raid boss fights, complexity, and design. I have not read through this, so we're all seeing this together for the first time. Sorry again, Vienne, for the timeout. But the person generally says, I've been curious as to what are people's general thoughts on raid design and its complexity. Some examples I'll be using are specific from some specific MMOs I have the most experience with, so would be interested in hearing other discussions. So in terms of Final Fantasy XIV, they're known for having super cinematic and dramatic boss fights that scale with difficulty depending on the raid tier. And then with Lost Ark, it has a similar feeling. Destiny 1, they haven't played Destiny 2, and recently WoW raids have placed a lot of emphasis on dynamic fights where the specific players need to execute a mechanic or everyone wipes. I'm very familiar with that one. I'm not sure. How does Guild Wars 2 handle boss fights or world boss fights? Raid boss fights, sorry.
Now you're asking the player to describe what PvE is about.
Sorry.
Yeah,
You're also the only other person that I know that plays Guild Wars 2, so...
Yeah, I have done my part of raiding, but Guild Wars 2 raiding is a lot about understanding mechanics and how they work and when to do things and when to dodge and when to go somewhere and shoot a cannon and then otherwise the floor will burn or something. I mean, it's a lot about mechanics, understanding your basically your skill rotation. So yeah, it's very highly skill based, and
okay,
you have to understand the clues around you while you actually have a 60 step, and I'm not even kidding, a 60 step rotation. That was the thing sometime at some point. Now it's become vastly easier to run that specific class, but I remember having like a spreadsheet with different color-coded rotations to keep up. Otherwise I would be kicked from the party.
That is crazy.
Very much, yeah. But it was fun days. But
do you feel like
luckily over.
Do you feel like that's similar with your PvP experience, or is it kind of, you know what your skills do, so you're kind of reacting and imagining like what to do next?
Since PvP in Guild Wars 2 is highly skill based, you can also get some hints of animations of other skills, especially if you have played the class yourself for some hours and understand the animations and what the skills do, then you have a better understanding of what you're playing against and how to avoid attacks, or when to strike with certain other skills. So
okay.
But it's the same with the raids in some way. I mean, you get some visual clues about, oh, here's an attack about to come. We need to CC the boss or something. Okay,
gotcha.
Yeah, I'd have to say, if anything, it's maybe not the extreme polar opposite, but it's quite opposite from World of Warcraft, where World of Warcraft has a lot of flashy looking fights, but they don't really get terribly in depth. Guild Wars seems to get fairly technical with some of their stuff. I've gotten wiped fairly easily, thinking that hey, I've been steamrolling through everything else around here. Let me just go ahead and nope, that didn't work. Not at all.
Yep.
Not at all. That happens a lot more than I would care to admit.
Okay.
Because I get comfortable with just being overpowered in the area, and then I get vastly disappointed.
Gotcha. With the games that you guys have played, then, is there any raid kind of content? I know you're PvP argue, but is there any like preferable raid content? Especially considering that I feel like a lot of the world bosses and or raids are going to be open world anyway, meaning not closed dungeon in Ashes. So PvP will be a part of that, I think. Is there any that you prefer over the other, or like what would be, if you were to pick apart, like what would be your ideal situation?
Ideal situation as far as a raid boss goes, or a raid setup?
Yeah, like a fight complexity and design type of thing.
Honestly, I know I say it a bunch, but Wildstar. Just gotta look at Wildstar raids. If they could pull off that type of complexity, yet simplicity once you get it down. But until you get it down, it's really difficult to make sure that you remember everything to do. But it's also, you always feel like you're right on the edge of getting it, because you just have to get that next thing down. And you get that next thing down, and it feels so amazingly great. And then you get just smacked right into a wall with the next thing.
Oof.
But it's so many different things in a row. But it feels fantastic when you finish it. Like, there was this one boss, right, where you walk through this little hallway, and it shrinks down really small, like just barely above you, but then it opens up into this gigantic, I don't know, if you had to measure it, it was probably like a half a mile circle with a big old dome over the top. And you look over the edge of this skinny little walkway out to a circular platform, and all you see is just a drop to blackness. And once you start going across the walkway to the platform, it starts falling away. And suddenly you're just on this circular platform, and that's it. And this weird creature jumps out and does this little, "Rah, I'm gonna eat you, ah." And then the battle starts. Well, it has tank swap mechanics where you have to swap out tanks. And it was timed. It wasn't just like, "Hey, swap out for this one thing so I don't die. Okay, now give it back to me." No, like you had, I think it was like an 8-second debuff. And if you were anywhere near the front of the boss, you were going to get just destroyed. You had to stay away from basically taking any damage for 8 seconds. But at the 9th second, the other tank takes that same thing, and they start to take huge damage. So you have literally 1 second to get back in there and grab it. And then during that whole time, there are some DPS where they had to cluster together to share damage, and others that had to run way far away. And the ones that had to run really far away, whenever their damage exploded on them, it removed part of the platform.
Oh no.
So they had to pay attention. DPS had to actually pay attention. DPS wiped that more than anything. And that's why it was so difficult. They had to pay attention, and they had to go through, and it would wipe out little hexagons at a time of the floor. So they had to pay attention on where we were and what direction they were facing and where the edge of the platform was. So they run all the way to the edge of the platform and take out as few sections of the platform as possible when they explode.
Yeah.
But when they explode, it just drops
impossible.
Yeah, exactly. You got it there, overthrow. But when the little timer went off, like a little bomb would drop right where they were. And they would have, I think it's like 1 second to get out of that square before it explodes, and just wipes out that floor, and they just fall to the ground, fall to the death. So that mechanic alone killed a lot of people. The tank thing wiped raids. The fact that when all the floor got knocked out, the raid was just done no matter where you are with the boss. But it was different things. Everybody had their job. Everybody had the thing they needed to do. And everybody had to perform, but not to the utmost perfection after a while. They kind of tuned things down a little bit because people were leaving because it was too tough. But just the fact that everybody had a job. Nobody would get bored. If you're getting bored, you're going to wipe the raid, so don't get bored. Pay attention.
Gotcha. So it was very focused. It was very like environment, paying attention and knowing what your job is and things like that.
Yeah.
What about you, Arky? What is your preferred, if you were to go into like a world boss kind of thing? What kind of mechanics would you prefer, especially as a PvP player? I'm really curious about this.
Is something I dearly miss, and I've thought about going back to it many times. But in Aeon, they have something called PvPvE. When you get to like a big PvP area inside a globe inside the PvP area, there's like where you can play versus the other side. So you're basically two factions fighting each other, but there's also a raid boss. And if you don't work together, two factions, and kill this raid boss will wipe everyone. So you basically have to work together with someone you don't like, basically, and then kill the raid boss. Then you can have the big fight afterwards.
That makes sense.
So player versus environment is something I think could be very, very cool, to be honest.
I'm interested in seeing how that works out. Yeah.
But it feels like there is something like it in Ashes, right? When you have like a siege towards a keep, there is a raid boss in the middle, right? So essentially you have the defending part and the attacking part, and then a boss in the middle, so to speak. But okay, the boss isn't attacking the defending part. That's true, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's also like, that's the interesting thing about the open seas, right? Is it's open PvP, it's auto PvP. And so you have other people. I saw somebody who I guess was playing, I forgot which game it was, but it was maybe Sea of Thieves. And they were on a ship. And it was talking about like a crafter and a PvE player being out in the open world, like just do. Yeah, we're heading over here, and then suddenly the crafter's like, captain, and he turns and there's this big giant like pirate ship coming after him, and so the PvE player is like, no, I have stuff on this ship, please don't kill me, like just freaking out. But like that adds to the interesting, where I might be interested in going onto the open seas, provided I'm not solo. If I'm solo, nah, I'm good. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna die in an instant. I know it. But if I had like a group of people to go with, that would be more interesting. There's more of a dynamic there. But I feel like that might just be my thing. I'm not very good at single PvP, like 1-on-1 or 3v3, but having like group like 50v50, that sounds more interesting to me. And I think, what were we playing? It was that one game that was not very good. That was in Elion, I think, maybe. That was...
that was one of them we played that was not very good, yeah.
That one I ended up being with the guild, with Nexus, and we were actually... I was having fun. I was having fun being with a group of people, but that was also my first time being literally in a group of people that I was in a voice chat with playing in PvP versus like World of Warcraft's capture the flag PvP kind of area. That one felt, because I was playing by myself a lot of the time, that one felt very aimless and I'm by myself and I don't know what we're doing, but I'm going to try to help kind of thing. So I'd find myself like being bullied by two people because I was the healer, but yeah, I don't know.
Never get bullied.
Never. Story of my repair bill, absolutely. My ideal thing, I think, is a mixture. I really like the idea of knowing the type of mechanics that the boss is going to deal. Having some of those timed things where if you need to memorize this to get it down. Otherwise, yeah, you can wipe us. But also, I'm kind of interested in seeing how that plays with the PvP, with the open world PvP stuff. Granted, sorry, Sim, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus or anything, but ninja looting is it's something that I'm worried about a little bit. Like, if I was there... I still love that
he gets blamed for that.
I know. We love you, Sim. We love you. Seriously, though. Hammers in chat for Sim, please. But yeah, and honestly, I think that is something that I am interested in seeing how that feels for me, because this is new. As a PvE primary player, I am nervous about open world PvP, but I'm interested in trying it out. I'm open to trying it out. I'm not going to say no to it because I've raided my whole life. Okay, well, you know what? This sounds like a challenge. Let's see how this challenge feels. Let's see if I like this challenge. And there's going to be probably parts of Ashes that I don't like, and that's fine because it's not meant for everybody, right?
The entire everything in Ashes is going to be loved and adored. I'm not going to be upset about any of it. I'm not going to be sad about any of it.
None of it.
You'll love every last bit of it. Kind of the last piece of seaweed in the unexplored sea.
But yeah, I mean, that being said, I did like that Steven did bring up the whole you can go over the ocean via flight path or teleportation or something. So there are ways, or will be ways, to get from one continent to another without having to go through the open sea. The only sucky part is you can't bring anything with you material-wise. So, but, you know.
Oh, we're talking about Valheim portal kind of thing now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
There's gonna be a lot of people just hanging out in that little trade wind sea, just chilling on their boat, standing ready, looking for people going out to sea. Especially if it looks like a caravan.
Yep. Or a shippy van.
Yeah.
Ship caravan. But
Shippy van.
So here was my next question, moving into the other parts of the random. So there's a couple on like mounts and stuff, but here's what I'm curious to hear about your guys' perspective. Would you rather acquire a new skill while you're out in the middle of nowhere, like you bing, level up, right? Do you automatically acquire the new skill? Does it pop up on your screen like, you know how to do this now? Or would you prefer going into a boat band? Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Go into a local node and then learn from a trainer that, or a mixture. What would you prefer?
You want to go first or me? Because I already kind of got an answer on that one.
I have so many different experiences about whether I have tried. I know in Aeon, because I've spent many hours in Aeon. You go and then pick what kind of skills you want from a book that you purchase for gold. So there's the trainer kind of element to it. In Guild Wars 2, you unlock them just by progressing, and then you unlock them as well by equipping new weapons, and then unlocking your different kind of core class traits that unlocks your skills. So you have your elite skill at a level almost max level, I think. So I do like both aspects of that, but I would probably prefer a trainer, to be honest, because of the roleplay element of it. Like I do enjoy playing D&D, so there's kind of this thing about, I have this book full of things that I have learned and stuff like that. So
yeah, I love it. Like sorcerer with copying spells into your book, right?
Yeah,
that's
stuff like that.
Sorcerer thing, yeah. I play mainly not
or
sorcerer.
playing warlock and just have access to everything. But
yeah.
So I have kind of a blended view on it.
Okay.
And my view is it can be started by saying that if you're out there living the life of the sword, right? You're out there swinging your sword every day, out there slaying monsters. Would you never ever learn a technique on your own? Like you could be swinging a sword for 7 years in a row, and just magically one day you go, you know what? There's probably somebody back in town that could teach me something new. I haven't learned anything new in the past year. Let me just go back to town real quick and, oh look, 7 different trainers know that skill. But they just sit in town all day and teach new people how to do new stuff. That's all they do. They don't actually go out and experience when's the last time they've slain a dragon? Oh, never. That's right. I have. I've slain 3 of them. Saved the world yesterday. It's crazy. Couldn't figure out how to make my sword twist in that little bit. So, I mean, thank goodness he showed me how to twist my sword just a little bit extra and get that extra oomph out of it. But I think it should definitely be a mixed bag. It should be for major milestones and whatnot. Sure, you need to go to like the wise old man or whatnot that's been, wearing armor or shooting fire out of sticks for longer than you've been alive or even a thought in anybody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I think your everyday average level, you should totally be able to teach yourself how to take one extra step and swing a sword in a different way.
So
totally be able to do that.
I'm really glad you brought that up because I was reading the comments for that specific thread, and that's what somebody else said. They said they could see going back into a trainer for like a new skill that you need to learn. But like for skills that say when you level up, it increases the skill by X amount percent. When you're out in the world and you're doing like the whatever you're doing, fighting or healing or whatever, through experience, it would make sense that you would like, okay, well, I've been doing this for a while, so I think I can do this better now. I know a better way of doing this. And so for that, it would make sense for those type of things to automatically just level up anywhere. But for the like, I wonder what other ways I can deal damage while healing people, then you can go back into the town and be like, okay, well, here's this new technique. Go ahead and go try that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is like, let's say take example of like a paladin. I mean, you know, Ashes, it's going to be the tank cleric, right? So if you just need to figure out how to turn your shield a different way to parry something instead of just blocking, that you should totally be able to teach yourself that. You're holding the shield and sword every day. You should teach yourself just the minor twist. And all your skills should level up and increase with power as you level up. That's just a given. It really should. Because you're always going to get better with using the same skill all the time. But if you were to hit something iconic like, I'm going to drop some holy ground here. I'm going to consecrate some holy ground. When you go to learn how to consecrate some holy ground, that's probably where you need to go to a professional like cleric that's been doing it a while. And you're just dipping your toes in that arena. So something like that, absolutely. Go and learn from the master paladin how to consecrate some holy ground, and then move on about your life. But then for the next 10 levels, you're teaching yourself some stuff, and you're learning things on the road, and then you learn how to bring somebody back from the dead. Yeah, you should probably maybe learn from an expert on how to do that.
Yeah. So that brings me to my next question for Arky specifically, who was mentioning the RP element of going back in town. How do you ideally imagine learning a skill being? Is it like one of those like, boom, you learn a new skill from the trainer? Or is it like one of those things where, I don't know if you've ever played Genshin, but there's like some sort of daily that you can do where you have to try to hit all of these things with your skill. And by hitting all of the things with that skill, you essentially did it correctly. Like you were successful in using that skill. So it's like a practice-ish to learn kind of thing. That was bad.
I wouldn't imagine there would be some sort of tutorial for each skill. That would be kind of annoyance to me, I guess. But I could see that for basic combat, like we saw the lovely video that Steven did not long ago. Something like basic weapon combat could definitely have a tutorial for. Then you could have some sort of element where you get better at basic weapon skills, maybe basic rank 2 or something, when you have used your weapon X amount of times or slayed enough enemies, X amount of those. That would be kind of grindy. I already know that, but I'm not sure how to.
I feel like it'd kind of be natural though, right? Because you're out in the world, you're slaying things for either like random side quests that pop up or actual quests that you're doing where you have to go kill things. So over time, you would naturally gain that proficiency. It sounds like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I guess you could either choose to go out of your way to go grind it out to gain it faster, or to just let it progress naturally. I feel like those would be a couple of options for that.
So it all depends on your way of playing, and we all have our different ways of playing. So some will be very role playish and tune into that element, or some of us, I wouldn't specifically say me, but at some point you would, as I mentioned early in the stream, you would probably optimize and think, oh, I need this now, so I will go grind it for it or something. So
that makes sense. Overthrow says, I wouldn't mind the training dummy or sparring ring quest thing in town as long as it didn't take long. Yeah. Because like there's nothing more frustrating than having one of those tutorials in like a normal RPG where you're trying to do the thing and you miss like one piece of the puzzle, and then you're just stuck there for like an hour trying to complete the thing, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not able to continue with the gameplay? So I feel like that could be a potential problem if having a training thing on how to do a skill, you know. I do notice that it is 8:50 already.
Oh wow, it is, isn't it? My goodness.
Did you want to keep chatting about this while we show off some official Ashes stuff? They dropped a lot of interesting little mini videos this week. By the way, guys, wait, hold on. Vertec, are we gonna do it again this Friday? Are we down?
Oh, the hanging out after? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
By the way, guys, when we sign off here, as well as Arky, if you want to, we're going to probably end for about 15 minutes after our podcast ends. Go get refreshments and come back and hang out and chat. Arky, you're welcome to join us if you want. Then there's absolutely no pressure to stay or leave at all. So you can leave when you're ready, or you can stay however long you feel like it. But it's something that we want to do to kind of continue the conversation a little bit, especially when some of these topics are really interesting, which is like more to talk about. More.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, but given it's like 2:50 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
exactly. That's why I was like, feel free to, but like no pressure. There's no pressure on that.
Yeah.
Vertec, if you want, while you get stuff put together, I can kind of announce some of the things we have planned coming forward.
Okay.
So, welcome in, Co-Stark GG. Welcome in. So actually, on Monday, I'm moving my D&D campaign from a private Twitch channel to here. So if you guys want to come join us for the last little bit of our Descent into Avernus campaign, where things have gotten interesting, we'll be finishing it out here. We were waiting for this overlay kind of to bring it over, and we got it back a lot faster than we were expecting. But ideally, that'll be on Mondays for now. And when I start taking over and I'm running the D&D campaigns, that'll move over to Sunday afternoons. So 1 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. On Sundays, but on Monday it'll be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we are starting last week. We're doing a whole after the podcast, post-podcast tavern talk, if you will. Still name pending on that one. But we really enjoyed it last week, and I may have had a little too much happy juice, as I like to call it. And then I got really sleepy really quickly. But it was really fun hanging out with you guys and chatting stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what we have planned. And then hopefully in the future, we'll do a evening Sunday hangout stream. Maybe even a Monday thing. After D&D moves over to Sunday, so we'll see what that has panned out for it. But let's see, Arky, best conversation piece that we talked about today, like one of your favorites.
I think it's a mix between map size and caravans, I guess.
Okay, that's fair. Will you be making the chat text a darker color? What chat? How much darker would you like it? Because I custom made the chat. I tried making it a dark red. Let me know what colors you would like that. I can get that custom, like while we're live and everything. So, give you that feedback. I can do that for you.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
What is a topic that we haven't covered today that you would like to chat about a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always like either combat or PvP. So once I really hoped that we would get kind of like basic weapon skills for different types of classes, like dripped into each update from like I think it was June. They had the basic combat for I think it was like something like fighter or something. I can't remember. But I had hoped that there would be like a steady segment in each of the updates with, oh, we have this new thing.
Yeah.
But, hey, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I would be patient. I promise.
That's a lot of us. Yes, Fernandez, I know what you mean, but I don't know what gray part you're referring to because the text chat specifically is dark red and the the name of the person is like a dark brown. Are you referring to the background, like the highlight of the name? Overthrow wants to know what class is Arky going to play?
I've only looked into something. The only thing that actually caught my eye was something like summoner or something.
But we also haven't seen everything quite yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you excited for the ranger archetype being shown?
I will definitely watch it, but I'm not specifically a ranger type of person.
That's fair.
I like having weird how to say this in English,
like hybrids,
like,
weird mixtures.
No, I like having some sort of let me translate it real quick.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Tierson. The background and overlay stuff is primarily made by Supreme Phoenix. We've just updated a few little bit of things, but yeah, Overthrow says it's called necromancy, sir.
Yeah. Some sort of hindrance or like an obstacle for me to because that feeds into how I played D&D. Right in my current campaign, I want to be an illusionist, but to give myself an obstacle, I'm playing a Kenku character, so I can't speak to everyone else. I can only communicate through mimics. So
you're gonna be a Tolnar summoner, is what I'm hearing.
Probably something like that, yeah.
A Tolnar necromancer.
There has to be some sort of weirdness about the characters I make, like always. So,
why does the Tolnar necromancer make sense though? Like a handicap? Yeah, I have a lot of friends that like adding like some sort of handicap to their D&D characters because it makes it more interesting to play. Because then you have to like think out of the box a little bit on like, okay, how do I solve this? You know?
Yeah, it's also kind of interesting.
We have this. Yeah, go on.
Good. Oh no, you finish.
Yeah, we have this bard that's also part of the team. And he's role plays into I have a song about whatever we're doing. So we're walking down this forest path. Oh, I have a song that fits this event like immensely perfectly.
That's funny.
And I role play into so this bard is very annoying. So I will make a sound of a crying cat or make a sound of his guitar strings bursting or something like that. So I mean that's my job, making the bard miserable all the time.
Love it.
Some good use of like prestidigitation.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's always interesting to see how and when and if even some DMs actually incorporate stuff like that. Like there's been a couple campaigns where I actually put something in that was incredibly rare to occur, but was just about devastating as far as it could be a severe negative situation that my character could get into if it wasn't watched carefully, or it could be a 1000% way to hook in any plot under the sun they want to just send us on a wild goose chase or whatever.
Yeah.
And I almost always try to bake something like that into my characters. And I try not to have it always be the, I've forgotten about my past. Hey, I don't remember anything. You could send me I try not to do that. But I try to leave big gaping holes where you could just, drive a truck through and totally careen the entire party off on wild adventure or a lesson to learn because they're abusing something in the game.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. Horrendous, is that better? Let me know. Also, I want to check your settings on chat just to make sure it's full quality, because it feels a little blurry when I'm looking at it, and I don't even have it pulled out, so I just want to make sure it's correct. But yeah, Ashes has some really cool things on Labor Day. They posted a little gone fishing video, which features a nice little like breeze and like a for me what feels like a tavern sign potential. Plus they have a couple of other videos, so we can kind of look through those. Yeah, the gun fishing video, and then they had another video, I think, on the Tolnar, or no, Minotaur. Yeah. Yeah,
there was a Minotaur one, there was the fishing one, and there was a 100,000 Twitter followers.
Yeah.
That's
bananas. The Minotaurs get me this Tauren kind of vibe, just more human, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like how Overthrow says the gone fishing sign looked rather permanent.
Yeah. Always gone fishing, pretty much. But yeah, I think that would be an interesting concept to see, because I feel like that was like a sign on a freehold tavern, kind of freehold thing.
Can't wait to see how the taverns are done.
Oh my gosh, Sam. But yeah, I mean, we'll probably go through those when we come back. But I think we should probably wrap up and let Arky get to sleep, because it's like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
Let's go ahead and
just a bit. Just a
quick
reminder, we'll be right back. So don't leave when we end the podcast. We're just going to go on a 15-minute break when we do get to that point. So just a heads up. And Zoe Snow. That's so cute. So cute.
Well, little raid bosses. Doesn't look so bossy right now.
No. Yeah, Horrendous says, thanks for being on the show, Arky Infinity.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
Oh, of course.
Hey, our pleasure. We enjoyed last time. Enjoyed this time just as much.
Yeah.
Thanks for swinging by.
Definitely like having your PvP perspective. I know a lot of this stuff is like PvP or PvE oriented, but like even having the perspective of a PvPer is different, because like for me, I'm not really gung-ho in PvP, but I saw that you're doing a lot of Guild Wars 2 PvP stuff. So like for me, that's just a perspective that I don't have, so I like to hear it. I like to see from a different perspective for that. Zessa, welcome in. But yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even call myself an expert in PvP. I mean, I'm very much like competitive, a very average player, at least rank wise. So I wouldn't say like don't you use me as reference or anything.
Well, I mean, you're more of a reference than I am, because I typically just run away.
Yeah, of course. Okay, but yeah, for me, PvP like having the feeling of ruining someone else's day is far better than killing a raid boss, to be honest.
That's fair.
Meant in the nicest possible way, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, but of course.
Of course. I'm gonna drop this. Perfect. All right, sorry guys. I'm gonna save this, and the chat's gonna go away. My bad, but it should be better now going forward. I can respect that, absolutely. All right, I'll let you do your thing. Just spoke to my soul. Thank you for the test. I appreciate it.
Well, I guess to close out the podcast portion, did anybody have any closing statements? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say to the people?
I just want to say one thing to the people about Arky. Go check out our guest.
Yay!
Yes. Do it. All right. Well, hopefully a lot of you will stick around. I know some of you typically tap out and log out around this time anyway, so have yourself a great night. Thank you for stopping by and spending your time with us. It has been much appreciated. We love your conversation. We love your little links and other stuff you do contribute, and wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so much. We love you all.
Thank you.